Welcome to today's big story. Now, many parts of the national capital today have been inundated as choked drains have made it difficult for rainwater to freely flow through the drains. The bus terminal, the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, was full, and residents of Accra had to scoop water from their homes as a result of the rains. But this is not the first time Accra has been hit by floods, and almost every year the story or the reasons being given for the floods are the same. So, with the advance warning given by the Ghana Meteorological Agency of more rains for the next 2 months, how are city authorities preparing to avert any further incidents of flooding? We'll be speaking to the Ghana Meteorological Agency, an officer at the Kotoka International Airport Department. Also, we'll be speaking to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, and the National Disaster Management Organization to see how prepared the city is to deal with the oncoming floods, which we assume will be accompanying the rains that are expected for the months of June and July. Well, let's go onto the phone lines now, and we'll start off with Graham Saba. He is with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. He is the Director of Drains and Maintenance at the Assembly. Good evening to you, Graham, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your listeners as well.
Okay, now the Meteorological Agency is forewarning us that there are going to be severe rains, or we're going to have more rains, rather, for the months of June and July. And we know that Accra, every time it rains heavily or even for longer hours, even if it's not heavy like today, most parts get flooded. What, with this forenotice coming from the Meteor Agency, how is the Assembly planning, or what plans does the Assembly have to avert any possible or any more floods in the capital?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, we cannot prevent the rain from coming year in, year out. The only thing that we have to do is to make sure that we prepare for the coming of the rain, to make sure that we have any flooding that will come as a result of the rain. I think remember that this year the rain even started very early, somewhere in January. We had the first major rain, something that we always expect someone around me.
Yeah.
Immediately, late January, we received the first when we started filtering our drains. So for now, we've completed most of our storm drains.
But the desilting of the drain is... Sorry, looks like we just lost Graham Saba, who is with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's Drains and Maintenance Department. He was just trying to explain to us the steps that the Assembly is taking to avert further flooding in the capital, because the Meteor Agency is predicting more rains for the month of June, which we've just started, and the month of July, which means that what we've experienced in the capital today may just be the beginning of a longer period of rains that we are likely to have in the capital and probably across the country. Graham is back on the lines. Thank you for joining us again. I was just about to ask that with the desilting of the drains, we seem to do that almost every year, but it really hasn't solved the problem of flooding in the capital.
Yeah, that is partially true, because if you could cast your mind back somewhere in 2010 when it rained seriously, since we lost about 9 lives, and since then we opened most of our drains, we distributed the drains, we widened them, increased the capacity of the drains. Since then, though it's been raining, we've not faced any casualties like we did in 2010. And like I said earlier, this year we started distributing the drains earlier. Somewhere in February we started already. And it's not only the drain maintenance unit of AMA who is working on the drains. I know the Urban Roads Department is doing some work on it, and IDO Department of Ministry for Water Resources works and housing, they are also doing some resources. I don't know, but then I would prefer maybe taking you around to some of these drain sites where you see that it's actually done a lot of social work this year. For instance, we've visited the drain of the Onyasa drain, which started from somewhere around Emmanuel Clinic all the way to Alajo to join the Odo channel. We've visited the South Carnation Drain, we've done the Mount Drain, and a lot of other storm drains within the city. And I think this year too, if you be very observant, you see that most of the roadside drains in town have been filtered.
And I was just staying, sorry to cut in, but just staying with the issue of the drains, even some of the drains that are currently under construction, people have raised concerns about the size of them. They look rather too small to be able to carry huge volumes of water, which fills the city whenever it rains.
Well, the drains which are being constructed now, I think they've done a lot of studies and they think that those drains will be able to carry the stormwater that they are working on. However, under the Accra Sanitary Sewer and the Stormwater Drainage Activation Project that we are going to start very soon, we are going to open up most of the drains constructing them. But you can see that there are some of the drains which are not even lined. If they are not lined, they are not concrete. They are just drains. And we are going to construct all these things. But this time, we are going to make sure that the drains are covered. Because of the attitude of Ghanaians, people get carrying garbage and throw it into the drains. And these are some of the things that choke the drains and then cause flooding. But then, if we start this project, which I know we are starting it very soon, we are going to cover most of these things and will not be facing this problem again. But however, if it rains above a certain level, even in advanced countries with proper drainage pattern, if it rains above a certain level, it cannot avoid flooding.
That is undisputed, but the situation in our parts is that even sometimes it rains just heavily for a very brief moment, but we see places being flooded. Like today, the pictures we've seen from most parts of the capital, we've seen vehicles that have their tires entirely submerged in the water and they're moving dangerously, probably not even knowing whether there's a pothole ahead, whether there's a hole ahead or not.
That's the issue. You see that most Accra is a low-lying area, and most of the rain, even not from the adjacent or the adjoining municipalities, all the rainwater or the stormwater rush down to Accra. So definitely, you need to have bigger sizes of rain in Accra to be able to contain all this water. And most of the storm drains in Accra outfall into the Odo Channel and then through the Korle Lagoon into the sea. But then here you are all aware that even the Odo Channel is silted. The Korle Lagoon is silted. So most of these stormwater, though we visited the drains, when they are now outfalling into the Odo stream, now it becomes a problem. So there is always a backflow into the community, and this is what caused the problem. And I know that under these ASDAP country projects, the Korle Lagoon and then the Odo Channel will be completely distorted. So this problem that we are facing now, I think is down to be not the past.
Okay, but then also there's the issue also of people who have built on waterways, blocking the flow of the water. What are you doing about those houses as well and structures?
Well, that is very true. I think you are also aware that AMA, anytime we have money to construct, we don't spare structures on water, we remove them. A very good example is the cable train. When we were about to construct this cable train, there were lots of structures, and then we have to go in and demolish all these structures. And there was a whole lot of hue and cry, even within the city of Accra, that we are demolishing people's buildings. Today, if you go to that place, no matter the amount of rain we fall, there's no flooding in that area. And I think you are also aware that formally, anytime it rains, Alago, you all know the problem that Alago faces when it rains.
Yeah.
So today, we remove structures and we constructed the lower station of Onyata, which passes to Alago. Today, there's no flooding around that area.
But those may be examples of the success story, but the reality is that there are still areas where people have their structures in the waterways.
I'm not disputing that part that they are areas.
Exactly. So then my question was, what are you doing about those ones then?
No, but if you go into demolish, then you should prepare to construct a train. So now if the funds are not available for you to even go construct, why going to demolish?
Okay.
But then if funds are available, anywhere that somebody has put a structure and we need to put a train, they will demolish it.
Okay.
A very good example is this Mataiko behind Total Filling Station to ICDs. There were structures, they removed all the structures. And today, if it rains, there's no problem around that area again. So please, when we are demolishing the structures, just essence by educating the people that they are not supposed to do in the waterway.
Okay, but before I let you go, you've spoken also about we'll be doing expanding the drains and all that. What timelines are you working with? When exactly are you expecting to start these works that you're talking about? Because the Meteo they've told us the rains are coming this June and July. We're already in June.
Yeah, I think I did not only start by saying we are going to.
Yes, some you say you are working on, but those you are about to work on, that's the one I want to know what timelines you're working with.
The ones that we are going to work on, that is going to be the major drainage program for the whole. And we are hoping that latest by getting to August, September, we have started. On the former, we should have started this project long time ago. I think there was.
But what stopped you?
Hello?
What stopped you?
That's what I'm coming to. There was a little problem with signing of the financial agreement. So the where contract was signed, the financial aspect took some time. But I think if you are aware, just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the mayor of Accra even called a press conference and showed the financial contract which has been signed, showed it to the press. So that was what we were waiting for. And now it has been cleared. So now that it has been cleared, we know that very soon we are taking up the project. Next year by now, I think we would have done a lot of work and will not be discussing on what we are going to do, but rather what we are doing.
So you're expecting to start the major drainage from August, but then but we're expecting the rains in June, July. So in between then, what do you hope to do to avert flooding before you start?
I mentioned from the beginning.
The desilting?
Filter the drains, and that is what we can do now. We have to distill the drains to make sure that the water flows. I think this morning there was flooding around our Obekedi land. But because we distilled the drain, then gradually the water drain off.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Graham Saba, the Director of Drains and Maintenance at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. He's been walking us through what the efforts the Assembly is putting in place to ensure that there's no flooding, because the Meteo Services, or sorry, the Meteo Agency rather, has warned of rains for June and July. He promises that they're going to start building major storm drains from August. So before that will be most likely after the rains that we are expecting in June, July. But till then, he says they are desilting most of the drainages in town with the hope that it will ease the pressure and the flow of water when the rains come. Stay with us on today's big story. We're still trying to get through to the Meteo Agency to get a clearer understanding of the predictions that they're giving, and then also we'll speak to NADMO and find out what the situation is, how prepared they also are because of this warning that has been given to us by the Meteorological Agency. This is today's big story. We'll be right back. Welcome back to today's big story. Now let's get onto the phone lines again, and this time to the Ghana Meteorological Agency. We're going to their department at the Kotoka International Airport to speak to Amos Nah, who is the head of that department. Good evening to you, Amos, and thanks for your time.
Good evening.
Okay, so you're predicting more rains for June and July. Tell us, is this limited to Accra or is this for the entire country? Hello? Oh, sorry, the line to Amos Nah just tripped. We're actually hoping to get some more clarification from the Meteorological Agency about the prediction that they're giving us about the rains that we are to expect for June and July. Of course, the raining season or the pattern of rains for this particular year has not been the traditional one that we are used to, and they are predicting more for June and July. So we wanted to get a better appreciation of what the season would look like, and probably the intensity of the rains that we should expect for the months of June and July. We'll try again to raise Amos Nah on the phone, and then once we're able to get through to him, he will then explain to us exactly into details what we should expect as far as the rains are concerned for June and July. But joining me in the studio now is my colleague Ridwan, who's been Karim Osman. Ridwan Karim Osman is his name. He's been around town throughout the day, monitoring the rains and all. Ridwan, thanks for joining me in the studio. So tell me, what have you gathered so far since you started going through town?
Well, the flood situation in Accra, I must admit, is very, very terrible. The news team went to Sukura. Then from there we moved to Dansoman and Malam. Malam in particular, the situation is very terrible. There is this particular filling station at Malam and the building is almost submerged. And most of the places we've been to, buildings have submerged and the occupants are in their various rooms, and obviously they are praying the rains do not get there. So the situation is very terrible. But I believe tomorrow, when the rain subsides, we would have a better appreciation of the whole situation.
And how about the roads in those areas? Are they also totally submerged?
The roads have been rendered almost impassable. Drivers are finding it very difficult to drive, and it has created a dead slow-paced traffic. Vehicular traffic is very, very huge in town.
But those areas you spoke about, Sukura, Dansoman, and Malam, are they areas that are traditionally prone to flooding?
I think this time it's not about just being prone to, flooding, but it's about looking at the planning system of the city. Most of the buildings, the layout is very poor, and so I believe this occurrence should put the AMA on its toes.
Just a minute, Ridwan. Let's get back on the phone lines. Amos Na has joined us again. Good evening to you, Mr. Na.
Good evening, my brother.
Okay, thanks for joining us on today's big story. I was asking earlier before your line failed that you're predicting more rains for the next 2 months, that's June and July. And I wanted to know, is this prediction limited to Accra or to Ghana as a whole?
Well, I would say now we are looking at southern Ghana, June and July.
Okay.
Yes, for the southern district. So that will be made up of the coastal areas, then the forest regions. June is actually the peak of the rainy season. Yeah. That is the major season for this part of the country. So we will be expecting that, like what happened today, we could have such situations occurring during the month. I would not say it will occur every day, but for most parts of June, then into July, we could have this type of sporadic rains coming in.
Okay, and what you said, we may have cases of rains like we are having today. Yes. Would it be more frequent, this type of rain?
Well, I would say for June it could be frequent. Yeah. Okay. June and July, because by August the rains will have ceased over southern Ghana. Yeah, but for June, especially this time to the end of June, then early July, you could have frequent occurrences.
And I'm a bit curious, how about the northern sector? What is the forecast for that sector? Because the Bui Dam, for instance, we are told is down on the water in their reservoir. And I'm sure, considering the flooding in Accra, a lot more people would pray and hope that it rather goes towards the Bui area so that the dam gets more water and then we don't have to deal with the Dumso. Yes,
and unfortunately, all the runoff into the north, the dam comes from the northern Brown Afo region. That's the most unfortunate part of it. Actually, I wish, just like you, that all that we have today run into the lake. And now, for the north, the rainy season will be starting about this time into July. Okay. So the time when we will be going off the major season, then they will have started and they will be peaking. So by August, they will be at the peak. So about that time when the north starts having frequent thunderstorm and squall lines, then more of the rains will cause the flow to get into the dam. Okay. Then as well as the flow from Burkina Faso, which is the tributary of the Volta. So, well, let's say there is hope that since the rainy season for the north is yet to start, we'll be expecting more flow into the dam.
And also, if I'm right, the raining season or the pattern of rains for this particular year has been out of the ordinary. It looks like it started raining somewhere like February thereabout. It's been raining almost consistently or once every while. What's happening? Is this all effects of the global climate change we've been talking about all this while?
Of course, you see, many things have changed. Atmospheric changes. You're talking about the climate change and all that. Even this year it was better, but comparatively, you could notice that last year, in January, February, there were severe floods over northern Ghana, and there was no marked dry season. Even the onset of the rains over the south was not clearly marked, because there was a fusion between the dry season, then also the wet season. Okay. So that's the type of situation we have because of this climate change situation.
All right.
Yeah.
And final question: a lot of the time when you give your predictions, most of the public take it lightly. Should they take this one serious?
It is likely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Whether we should
take the predictions of the rains for June and July serious, because people tend to make light of your predictions when they come.
No. We should take it very serious.
Okay.
We should take it very serious.
All right.
Even this evening, I have sent a write-up to all the radio stations and the TV stations. I'm sure when you go to your mail, you will see this on what happened today.
Okay.
And I've given some comments and then some caution to the public. You will see all in that mail.
We appreciate that.
Yes, what I'm just saying is that we all have to exercise caution.
Okay.
Because of the flooding, if we want to cross waterways, we want to cross narrow bridges, we have to be very careful.
All right.
We are also cautioning drivers to be very cautious on the road because visibilities could be very poor due to rain.
Okay.
Then we are advising that we should use our umbrellas so that we stop making those excuses. So that because of the rain, I couldn't come. We have to attempt both social and commercial activities.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Now. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but thank you very much for your time with us on today's Big Story. Amos Na is the head of the Meteor Department at the Kotoka International Airport. Quickly, let's get onto the phone lines again and speak to the Accra Regional Coordinator of NADMO. Okay, I understand the line to him has dropped, but Ridwan is still with me in the studio. Ridwan, so I was asking you about whether those areas that you visited are really flood-prone areas.
No, they are. We see, as I said earlier, there is the need for us to look at the situation very well. The situation has to do with a poor planning system in the city. The AMA should look at it. This time it's not just about the flood-prone areas, but the poor layout of buildings in the city, and that is where the AMA should be looking at.
And did you notice any buildings that are in the waterways?
Not really, but most of the buildings we saw in Dansoman and Malam in particular are submerged, and you see residents at the frontage scooping out water, and so we will bring all the pictures on our primetime bulletin, and so our viewers should just watch out for those
thank you
pictures.
very much, Ridwan Karim Osman, for your time with me. Now let's get onto the phone lines again and speak to the Accra Regional NADMO Coordinator, Bala Maikakan. Good evening to you, Bala, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Okay,
good evening.
We're expecting more rains. That's what
But the correction, please, I'm the deputy.
The deputy, okay, sorry, the deputy regional coordinator. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
The Meteor Agency is warning of more rains in June and July. How ready is NADMO to deal with possible fallouts, if I can put it, of the flooding that is likely to hit Accra and other parts of the country?
Yeah, it's always the same, as I said. Like almost June, July, we do face a lot of flooding, especially in Accra here. So basically, we are much more ready, much more prepared, because we know
we know June, July, even August, some parts of August, I think we do experience a lot of rain in Accra here. So that was why even last weekend we do call almost some of the, we selected some of the media houses that we spoke with them, and then we even went out. Now our job is not basically on the media. We do go to the doorsteps of the people to talk to them one-on-one about, for them to be ready, especially those who are the low-lay area, for them to be ready for this very rain that is coming down.
So essentially you're saying you're doing your sensitization work, but when it comes to the issue of relief items, that's where NADMO often is challenged, knowing the trend that June, July, you're going to have rains. Now we've been warned about it, probably in time. Would you say NADMO is in a position now to say, give relief items or attend to emergencies quicker than you used to do, or is usually the case?
Yeah, as I said, we are much more ready. So almost everything is also part of it. When I say ready, meaning we know that we may not get everything all together, but in the little that the government give us, I think we also we use it. We use it for for whatever whatever we are going to face within this very season. But even having said that, when you look at within Accra Metropolis, there is a several low-lay area within that attracts flooding within Accra. So based on that, we even went around, all because we can't get everything out, not even only Accra. We need to look at it, even Kumasi, Central region, almost part of Accra, Ghana here. They are also experiencing what is happening today. It's not only in Accra, even people from Kumasi, Central region and Kobe are also calling. So basically, NADMO, as I said, even though we are supported by the government and also to the NGOs, but here that we need, maybe we will use your platform to appeal to the agency. The NGOs and the other governmental agents, almost everywhere. Almost everybody to also come in. To come and help. To mount humanitarian support so that it can be helpful for the people, maybe NADMO alone cannot do it. But again, as we speak right now, even I'm in the rain talking to you.
Okay.
So basically, NADMO,
you're on the ground working. Okay. Thank you very much, Bala Maikaikan. He's the Deputy Greater Accra Regional Coordinator for the NADMO. And we also spoke earlier to Amos Na of the Meteor Department at the Kotoka International Airport. And then also we spoke to Graham Saba of the AMA's Drain Department. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the interactive segment.